Hello and welcome to this week's vlog, and it's certainly going to be different for sure. Me, myself, as a landscape photographer, I feel like I've hit a bit of a plateau. I want to get up here and I'm stuck here. So in order for me to get up here, I need to get the advice and the critique of some of the best landscape photographers in the world, such as Nick Page, Adam Gibbs, Gavin Hardcastle, Mas Peter Eveson and Greg Snell. So with those guys' advice and maybe to tell me about post-processing and maybe the compositional awareness and so on and so forth, and put all these things into one basket, and then might help me push me to the next level. So I'm going to hear a few home truths, and the most important thing about getting critiqued is not to take it to heart. These guys are giving me advice to make me better. Now, Gavin is probably going to crack a joke or two, but I enjoy that kind of thing as well. I do have a good sense of humour. But I am a confident guy in what I can do as my abilities, but like I said, I need to get to the next level and I'm stuck here. Alright, so let's jump over to some of the lads and let's see what they have to say and what they have to offer.
Seriously, another email from this Irish guy. He must send me like 10 emails a week. What's he say this time? Hey Nick, will you please review this photo? Will you give me some critique on what I could do to make it better? Does he think that I'm going to do this for free? Well, I'll just send him a bill. Let's take a look at this. Actually, that's a pretty good shot. We don't have mountains like that where I live. So this is obviously in the Dolomites.
What's that, Nick? Did you hear that, Darren? Did Nick say the Dolomites?
From the Dolomites, Slongafall. It sounded like you f***ing langer. Dolomites, f***ing Dolomites, like Jesus. How the f*** did I say Dolomites? God's sake, like.
It's really cool how he's got that side light going on here. I like the side light. Looks like we might have blown some highlights up in this top right corner. So if you've blown those highlights, maybe blend in a darker frame for those highlights. Don't blow your highlights. So things that I would personally do is I would like to see this sky just brought down in exposure a little bit. A slightly darker sky is going to make that mountain pop a whole lot more. Just by bringing down the exposure of the sky, it'll make the snow on that mountain the brightest thing. Therefore, the eye is going to go right to it. Also, we have this big patch of snow in the foreground, which essentially is just a big eye magnet. It's a big blob of white. So the eye struggles to get past that and get back to those mountains. So what I would personally do is I would try to decrease some of the contrast of this lower portion of the shot. And I would probably lower the contrast of those background mountains as well. You know, you see a little bit of that on the mountains back to the right here. So me personally, I would try to mimic that sense of atmosphere in the foreground. That way the eye goes straight to the most dramatic peaks, which is why you took this photo in the first place. I think darkening this sky a little bit and adding a little sense of atmosphere around the edges of the frame is going to make this composition work a lot better. Awesome shot though, man. Really, really awesome shot. I'll be expecting a check in the mail.
Hi Dermot, so here is a little bit of feedback on your Cliffs of Moher photo. I really need to get myself to Ireland, it's so beautiful over there. So overall I actually really like this photo, beautiful colors, and yeah, the mood is nice. There are a few things however I would address, and you can see up here along the cliffs have like a halo, it's brighter up here, and I would get rid of that. You can probably do it with a luminosity mask. And then we have this big white part here that my eyes are drawn to, but it's in conflict with the rock down here. I'm pretty sure that you intend the rock here to be the focal point. So make sure that the eyes go down there and not up to this bright part here. You can also darken that down with a luminosity mask. Overall, I like the little bit of glow here on the stones. I would probably have gone a little bit closer out to the water. Obviously, I do not know how safe it would be, but just to make sure that you have a bit more water and this foam, long exposed water in the scene, and not so much these stones. I like the glow on the stones, but I'm not a big fan of random stones in general. There is also a little bit of haloing down here on either side of the rock. It's probably due to raising the shadows too much and bringing down the highlights. But yeah, you can remove that with a luminosity mask too. But besides that, I like the composition. I like you are using all the rocks here, or the lines in the rocks, to bring the eye into the scene, and the same with the clouds. So it all like, there's a natural flow towards the rock here in the background, which supposedly is your focal point. So that's what I would say to this photo.
A couple days ago, I got an email from the Irish Photography Podcast, and it looks like it's from Dermot. Yeah, sorry if I'm butchering that. And he says, "Hello, Greg. You are a bloody, savage, epic legend of a man. And I would like for you to critique one of my photos to be part of a upload to YouTube." So that's awesome. I will critique your image, Dyer Mud. So let's bring up the image on the computer here. Looks like Mesa Arch in New Mexico. I think Nick Page has been there. I really, really like the light. You've got this super warm tones coming from the right across the image to the left, where you can see it's sort of really strong highlights on that peninsula of the bottom left of the main rock, which I believe is the subject. And that warm glow contrasts really well to the blue sky up here that you can just sort of see in that top left part. I'm meant to be critiquing this, so right away my eye is sort of drawn to the peninsula where the brightest light is, and just above that on the left hand side up here there's sort of bright cloud. I would probably try and darken that either with some blending of a darker image or with luminosity masks. And then also, if you go to the complete opposite of the image, down to the bottom right, it's really dark in this water. I feel like there's a bit of dead space there. It's nice that there's this bottom right rock that helps sort of lead the eye, but the whole image is kind of balanced in a way that's moving from right to left, and it's pulling your eye into the bottom left, or the left hand side, and then it kind of dies. Like, it doesn't really seem like there's much more interest at the bottom of that peninsula. The interest is the rock face here. So to me, it seems like this image, if it was a print, it would be like, drawing you to go somewhere, maybe in like a hallway or something. Like, imagine this on a wall, and you walk through a door, and you kind of turning the corner, probably moving right to left, and then there's this big image on the wall, and it's like you just want to keep walking, keep going past it. That would be a very, very good use for this image. But in general, I mean, it's a great shot, great light, great location, and really beautiful landscape image. So good on you, Dermot O'Donovan, and thanks for having me as part of this fantastic critique video. I really probably should have done this whole thing in Irish. Hey, have you told them about my Irish accent? Oh, it's a fine day. You're last down there with your man at the chemist, and I was like, well, why don't you take me out on the boat then? And she said, all right, well, off we go for a fish. It's so bad.
Oh, okay, Dermot. I got my voice out of voice. I pronounced it correct, didn't I?
Yes, much better than the Canadian / wannabe Irish guy before you. I think his name is Griega.
Right, so you've sent me a couple of images for critique. So I really do appreciate that, Dermot, because at $100 a pop, I'm making some pretty good money today. It's very generous of you in these tough economic times. You can just PayPal that to me. So looking at these two, I think I'll start with this one first. So I really like this shot with the, is it some sort of ruin? It looks like a ruin there. Let's just zoom in. Let's have a quick butchers. Yeah, it's kind of cool, and I like this grass that you've got. The only thing that I would say is that you've got a hell of a lot of space devoted to grass in your frame. And if there was some flowers in there, or if there was like a really cool rock or something, then I think it would justify devoting that much frame space to that grass. But there isn't. It's just grass. And it looks like you were sitting in the grass as well, because it's kind of depressed. Perhaps somebody was having a romantic interlude in that grass. Maybe that's why you shot it. Maybe it's got like a special memory for you. Maybe you and Darren went for a nice afternoon out picnic or something. That's exactly what it was, isn't it? Yeah, okay. So what I would advise the next time you're out shooting an image like this, whether it's vertical or horizontal, doesn't really matter, is if you've got an image like this that's kind of split into two, where you've got a distant subject way off on one half of the frame and then a whole bunch of the same thing on the other half of the frame, what I would say is use this. Use your hand. After you've taken the shot, just cover half of the frame and ask yourself what's left. And if the answer is a big pile of grass, then you might want to just recompose it ever so slightly. Unless, like I said, that big pile of grass has a lot more interest. It has some more cool shapes, some flowers, some rocks. I like, that's kind of how I would have balanced it out if there'd have been that extra element. But without that extra element, I feel like you've wasted a lot of frame space, especially when you've got this lovely, what would you call that, some sort of halo in the sky. I would have filled my frame with that and a bit less of this romantically crushed grass. So that's my thoughts on that particular image. Other than that, I really wouldn't do much to it. I did zoom in and look at some of the processing, so let me just go over here. There's some sketchy edges on these edges here. Maybe you were using some weird luminosity masks that you learned from Nick Page or something like that. I don't know, but that's a bit weird. I'd try and clear that up. Might have just been a little de-alignment, something like that. Maybe your layers weren't quite aligned, but not too much of a problem, especially when you zoomed out. Okay, so that's $100, please, David. Like I say, you could just PayPal that to me. Okay, let's go to the other one. So this is pretty nice. Big old pano. It looks like a 7-shotter or something, because you've got this kind of strange shape here. Panos are tricky because you never really know what you're going to end up with, do you? So you always shoot a little bit more than you think you're going to need so that you can crop in. Would have been nice if this line of sand hadn't been lost. It kind of feels like it comes in, it's a nice curve, and then it disappears out of the frame, and then it comes back in. I would have liked to have seen that stayed in the frame, but I don't know what you were working with there. It could have been quite tricky. And of course, the wider you get, the further away you get, the smaller those mountains get. So it's a trade-off. So other than that, it's fine. The only thing I would say processing wise is you've gone a little bit haywire with the saturation on the greens. So let's fix that. Let's get a hue saturation adjustment layer, which I'm just going to throw in from this action panel that I stole off Blake Rudis last night for that Photoshop craps thing that we were doing. Let's just move that over to the side. And what I'm going to do with this tool, this adjustment layer, is I'm going to go to the yellows. So even though it's the greens that I want to desaturate, the yellows are going to be very effective. So let's just pull down the saturation of the yellows there. That's almost done it. And then we'll switch this from yellows to greens, and then pull down the saturation of that there. And that, to me, that looks way better. It's, when you've got a moody, dingy, grey sky like that, you don't really want the mountains to be super vibrant and saturated. You want them to also match that same sort of ambient dinginess. And to me, that's what this image is about. It's about that. It's still a beautiful scene, even in grim, horrible grey weather. So if I switch that off, that's what it was before. My eyes are hurting a little bit with that. I've got to be honest, Dermot. There's a few tears coming out because it is somewhat retina bleeding. Put that back on. That, to me, that's a bit more natural. And if you think it's too much, then I could turn down the opacity. That would bring a little bit of saturation back. Just try and meet in the middle somewhere. That's just my personal taste. So that's how you did it. That's my little tweak. That's all that I would change really with that. Just a processing tweak. But maybe you've got like some really old screen that doesn't have much saturation on it, and that's why you cranked the saturation there. Who knows? So there you go, Dermot. That's $200 now. So I'm actually doing quite well out of this. So if anyone's watching this video of Dermot's, I mean, I know you've only got like a few subscribers, so probably not. But if you want a critique, you know, if you want to throw some money my way, then I'm all for it. So I hope you've got Uncle Grumpy up next. Yeah.
All right, so Dermot has sent me a photograph that he wants me to critique, but it's a little unfair, Dermot, because I think you already know that it's a really good photograph. So, I mean, I could stroke your ego if you like. So the photograph that he sent me is one of a jetty going out into, I think it's a lake, with some reeds on the sides and just absolutely stunning light. And I've said this a number of times, you know, photography is all about the light. And in this case, I really do think that the light has, well, it's definitely all about the light. Without the light, the photograph might not work quite as well. What I do like about this photograph is the symmetry. I just love the way that we have the jetty going out in the center, and then we have the platform kind of in the middle there. Now, this has been done quite a few times by other photographers that I've seen online, with various jetties going out into the ocean or a lake or whatever, but it works really well. And what I quite like about this photograph as well is that it's not totally symmetrical, because up in the top left corner, there's a bit of I think leaves from a tree, so it kind of offsets it a little bit. I don't know if that was done on purpose or not. I hope it was, but it works. But yeah, it's a really great image. There's nothing really that I could say that is negative about this photograph. It's just a nice, clean image, and it makes you feel like you really, really want to be there. And actually, I'd really like to be there right now instead of stuck in my house. Anyway, nice photograph, Dermot, and thanks for sending it to me.
So one thing I really need to kind of learn from the 5 lads and what they've told me is to really start learning how to use luminosity mask. I've never touched them in Photoshop in any way, shape or form. So if you guys know any bit of a program, anyone that's watching or listening to this, please do leave a comment below and let me know what program you're using and is it beneficial to you and how much is it, because affordability is the best at the end of the day also. But I do want quality luminosity mask. It's definitely something I want to learn how to do. But yeah, there's some great advice in there. I'm really delighted. I picked up a few nuggets of information there that I really can put into my own kind of style of things. Stop blowing the highlights. Yeah, I know. Yeah, and it's something that I try not to do, but you know, it just happens at times. The haloing came up quite a lot in all of the photographs, so I really need to work on that kind of side of things also. Yeah, look guys, I really hope you've enjoyed this episode of the vlog. I hope you've learned something just as much as I have, so you can push yourself to the next level just as much as I'm going to try also. And a big thank you to the 5 lads for coming on and giving me their time. I really do appreciate it, and it's going to help me grow as a photographer. So thanks a million guys. That's it for this episode. If you've liked the video, please hit the like button, and be better if you subscribe, and if you have any questions, comment down below, and I'll see you in the next episode guys. All right, thanks a million for watching. Ayo.